WOCA. Ocala.
All right, 22 minutes before 10 o'clock. 22. Is that right? 22.
Yes, 22.
Gotta figure out how to read the clock backwards.
Yeah.
86 degrees here at the radio station at WOCA, the source of the Paddock Mall, where we broadcast from. Do you know, I was looking at some old advertisements not too long ago, and it's interesting how, a great blaring example is how you would see these cigarette ads that said, approved by doctors or doctors recommended, right?
Oh, yeah.
Cigarettes, right? And the same thing is true for a lot of the things we used. And in fact, things that we probably used as kids that we took for granted were probably outlawed at one time or another by some environmental group who decided it was no good for us, and of course for our own good.
Yep.
And I guess we're still trying to make headway with that. We are learning as we're going. This whole world we didn't come with instructions. We have to figure things out, right? Mm-hmm. So when we came up with an idea on how to, for example, pesticides, herbicides, things like that, right? We realized, hey, this is a good way to kill bugs. It does something else bad.
Yeah.
Or this is a good way to kill weeds. It's not such a good thing. Andrea Delgado has been studying these things and more, and she's on the phone. She is a member of the Earth Justice Policy and Legislation Team. She develops and implements legislative and administrative strategy for environmental health issue priorities, and her list goes on and on. Her credentials go on and on. She wants to talk about strengthening the Environmental Protection Agency's proposed worker protection standard proposal, specifically today, among other things, I'm sure, but specifically for farmers, agricultural workers, etc. So let's find out what that all means and what we can do to help out. Andrea, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Where are you? Where are you located?
I'm speaking to you from Washington, D.C.
Oh, okay. So are you regularly lobbying over in Congress, or how do you do your job?
I do lobby in Congress in the public interest, but some of the work that I enjoy the most is working with our clients and community organizations. And in this particular issue, with the farm workers themselves, the farm worker unions and the folks that are at the front lines, seeing day in and day out the conditions that these workers are exposed to and are trying to not only secure better wages, but better working conditions.
Okay, so it's a number of things. It's not just the chemicals that they might be exposed to. It's how long they're working. You know what? I saw this thing on a video on the internet, and it showed these farm workers drinking, like their drinking water was not good looking. It was very cloudy. And I was thinking, wow, why can't they give them clean water? Did I watch something that was an exception to the rule, or is that happening all over the place?
Well, you're watching that, and we're hearing from farm workers that don't even get water, and when it's really hot and they're in the field. So in a lot of cases, they don't have water readily available, or it's not cold, it's warm. Especially when they're facing the risk of, heat stroke, if they're out there for hours out in California or in Florida, water availability is a big concern, and the quality of it, you can imagine.
So do we need new laws, or do we need to enforce the ones that are already there?
We need to upgrade and enforce the standards that are already existing, and this is what brings us to the Agricultural Worker Protection Standard. So it's the primary set of federal regulations that's meant to protect farm workers from the hazards of working with pesticides.
Okay.
And the current standard, we call it for short WPS, Worker Protection Standard.
Okay.
So these current regulations have not been upgraded meaningfully since 1992, over 20 years, and they're not effective to protect farm workers from the exposures to the toxic chemicals. Whether they're cultivating it, they're harvesting it, if someone's going by and spraying it by them, these are folks that are exposed to this on a daily basis, and they're dealing with, in some cases, neurotoxic chemicals. Chemicals that are toxins for the brain or reproductive toxins can pose a lot of harm, not only short-term with intoxication, but long-term with chronic illnesses and cancers, respiratory problems, Parkinson's disease, a range of very, very serious health problems that the EPA is meant to be setting protections to prevent these kind of conditions. But it hasn't gone far enough.
Okay, and I imagine, I mean, this is probably goes without saying, but I'm imagining that a pregnant woman, whatever chemical she's exposed to is also exposed to the baby, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, who are the violators? Is it? I'm guessing we've got some farms, some I guess operations that are doing it right. Hopefully I'm right about this.
There's folks that do the right thing here, but the real problem is that we have a minimum standard of quote-unquote protection that EPA over a decade ago recognized was not adequate enough to prevent pesticide poisoning, specifically among the folks that are what they call pesticide handlers. These are either the men or the women that are applying, loading, and mixing the chemicals before they go in the fields or in the greenhouses. So having acknowledged that over a decade ago, you'd figure that the agency would have taken some action to correct that, taking into account that we're dealing with over 80% of these farm workers are Latino. They're largely immigrant communities. A lot of them, the majority of them, have limited English proficiency. And in some cases, there's always the issue of immigration status. So there's already so many reasons why these workers would be afraid to, ask for protection.
I gotcha. Okay, yeah.
The kind of chemicals they're exposed to in the workplace. So this is why it's important to raise that bar to make sure that both the farmers, the growers, the employers know that they have to protect their workers and provide them, with adequate equipment, adequate notification, right of access to information about the hazards they're working with, so that workers can protect themselves, because without that, it's not going to make a difference.
I have worked in the office for companies that have had chemicals in it, and OSHA would come in. They would supply this huge 2-volume set of paperwork about the different chemicals that were out there, how to protect yourself from the chemicals, and then every month they would send updates to this massive manual. Why isn't OSHA going out to the farms?
Andrea, can I just ask you to wait on answering that question, because we have to go to a weather and a couple of commercials, and then we'll be back in about 2.5 minutes, okay? But that's a really great question that Robin just posed to you. So I want to make sure you have enough time to answer it. We just need to take a little break. So we'll be right back. Again, Andrea Delgado is on the phone up in Washington, D.C., and we'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Sunshine mixing with clouds today with a couple of thunderstorms around this afternoon, the high 88 to 92, then partly cloudy tonight with a thunderstorm around early on near the coast, low 73 to 77. Partly sunny tomorrow with a couple of thunderstorms popping up in the afternoon, high 86 to 90. And for Saturday, times of sun and clouds, a couple of showers and a thunderstorm mainly in the afternoon, the high 87 to 91. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Hi, I'm Leah Caruso with Strive Rehabilitation, inviting you to join me Thursday at 11 a.m. for Health Matters. Ocala Health and Strive have teamed up to bring you the latest information on good health services available to you right here at home. This vital information will help you make informed decisions about your health. So don't forget to join me here at 11 a.m. Thursday. It's news you can use from Ocala Health, Strive, and your friends here at WOCA.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
We should eat our larger meals earlier in the day so we have energy, and eat our smallest meal at night so the body can focus on sleeping. Successful relationships aren't supposed to be perfect. They require vulnerability. Telling yourself that a guy isn't good enough, our expert says you're really just giving yourself an excuse to stop trying. Couples should send 2 texts a day that provoke interest, like, I want to tell you about this cool vacation idea I had.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Hi, I'm Yvette, and I'm here to tell you a few things about ABC Frederick's Appliance. They sell not only new, but used guaranteed appliances. When you call ABC Frederick's Appliance, they will provide service on what they sell and any appliances that you own. ABC Frederick's Appliance is located in Bellevue, right over the railroad tracks. Call 352-629-5181. That's 352-629-5181. That's 352-629-5181. ABC Frederick's Appliance.
Your home is safe, or is it? AA Lock, Dock, and Security. The name has been a staple in Ocala since 1985. Do you have the right equipment in place to have peace of mind when you are at home or away? AA Lock, Dock, and Security has the right people to install and monitor your home or business. Call today for a free on-site security analysis. Call 867-1965. AA Lock, Dock, and Security, 219 Northwest 10th Street, 867-1965.
Your weekends are getting a little retool.
Swear to God, not making a joke.
Check this out. New shows? Check. Some new talent? Check. Let's welcome the guys.
Let's get it going.
Arnie Spanier.
Unbelievable.
TJ Reeves.
This is what you get.
Your weekends are on fire. Because that's how exotic it is.
All right, 12 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for listening to The Source, WOCA. 86 degrees and drizzling here at the Paddock Mall. Thank you again for tuning in. Andrea Delgado is on the phone. We've been speaking to her about the plight, if you will, of the farm workers who are exposed to pesticides and other chemicals. And Andrea has been educating us about the fact that we have some rules in place, and some of them are 20 years old. And the whole idea of this conversation is to try to understand that we need to up the rules, we need to make them better, and even have them enforced in some cases. And what I was thinking, Andrea, you know what I was thinking during the break, is that we have no problem, for some reason, seeing the need to make sure we're not dumping phosphates into the water and killing the fish. We need to make sure we're not dumping chemicals into the landfills to kill the birds and the animals or to harm them. We need to think about humans too, and it sounds like that's what this is about. I mean, this is about human beings and children even, right?
Exactly. That's really striking to me. I mean, it's obviously protecting human health and protecting the environment and wildlife is very important, protecting our natural resources, but it really baffles me, the lack of attention that's brought to, the folks that are being poisoned in the fields. These are folks at the front lines of exposure. We have bees dying off, and that's a big concern, but, we need people galvanized and rallying around farm workers who really need their voice and support.
Yeah. And we have a lady who does a gardening show here on Tuesdays, and the one thing she'll say all the time is that we overuse, even us as individuals, we overuse products for our gardens and our lawns. And if we just followed the directions, we would be better off. Not just our lawns and gardens, but we would be better off. One of the cool things about this interview, and I know you're getting to it, but I wanted to kind of jump the gun, is that you've got we have an opportunity to help out with some public commentary. Explain that.
Absolutely. So right now, the EPA is asking, the Environmental Protection Agency is asking the public comment for insight, for their thoughts and opinions about this issue. And the commenting period ends at midnight on Monday, August 18th, so we only have a couple of days left. What I would ask for folks to do, if they're interested in standing with farm workers, the folks that help bring food to our tables, who desperately need their support, to go to the Earth Justice website by going to earthjustice.org/pesticides. They'll find an ample opportunities to be able to weigh in, to learn more about this issue, and to immediately send a comment to Gina McCarthy and the EPA and let them know that we're supporting farm workers and trying to protect them from pesticides, and that is the right thing to do.
Is there a reason why a farmer or farm owner wouldn't do the right thing? Is there a money issue?
Well, yeah, I don't wanna speak for farmers. I think that there's folks that want to do the right thing, but obviously their focus is on producing the crop. Producing the product. They have the demand to meet across the supply chain, but it's important that folks that have the authority to ensure that farm workers are protected, that they set adequate standards that are meant to do that, because that's what the EPA has failed to do. They're moving in the right direction, but the proposal is not adequate, is not meaningful enough, and that's what we're calling on the agency to address.
How about the farmer that uses the pesticides, and to protect their workers, they do everything above board, but then when the pesticides are distributed and then the air gets them, and then that air blows the pesticides to other fields, and that might affect the other farmers on the other fields?
Exactly. I was talking to some folks that say, well, what about, adjacent fields, folks, nearby communities, not just adjacent fields, but also schools and playgrounds and homes. As long as the EPA is registering these toxic chemicals and allowing them to be used in fields, in greenhouses, in nurseries, we need to make sure that the protections for everyone, including workers in nearby communities, are as strong as possible. The EPA has the authority to allow these pesticides, to ensure that the pesticides are properly used, but it's also letting them in the market. So it's a combination of, we have chemical companies producing very toxic chemicals. The EPA knows this. It's allowing them to get into the market, allowing farmers to use them in order to produce, their products, and farm workers are being exposed in the process, as well as the communities in these rural and agricultural areas. So, it's a very complex problem, and as long as they're being used, we need to make sure that folks that are near them and exposed to them are protected, and that's what this is about.
I'm not a farmer, and I know very little about farming, but that's my disclaimer before I say what I'm about to say. Robin and I visited a local winery about a month or so ago, okay? And they gave us a tour, and in addition to teaching us about how they make wine, they taught us about how they grow the grapes. And the one thing I remember they said was that they use no pesticides. I think they have, did they say a beetle?
Yes.
There's some kind of a bug that lives there that actually helps. There's a beetle that eats the other bugs. So they introduced it on purpose. There was a way to have nature actually do the job that a pesticide would do. I don't know if they're an exception to the rule, and I don't know if grapes is different than corn in that regard. But are those options available to like all farmers, so that pesticides period wouldn't need, because they don't use them at all according to their website?
No,
No, and I think what you're referring to is either integrated pest management, looking for alternative and less toxic methods that folks are already using in order to continue to be profitable. But at the end of the day, that's farmer by farmer. If you can choose to be organic, that's also going to affect the production.
Right.
And it won't matter if you're an organic practice that's right next to a field that's using these pesticides, because, like Robin mentioned, these things drift.
Does part of the proposal also address the issue of emergency equipment, things like that the farmers have to have on their property to treat the person that's inhaling these chemicals before they can transport him to the hospital?
So this is what's really interesting. For workers in any other industrial sector that are covered under the Department of Labor and the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, if you're a worker that's either gotten a chemical spilled on you, you're experiencing pesticide poisoning, you need immediate medical attention, the EPA standard is saying that growers can take up to 30 minutes to make transportation to a medical facility available after learning of a pesticide exposure. For any other worker, if it's life-threatening, you have to do that within 1 to 3 minutes. If it's not life-threatening, you have to do that within 15 minutes. Why would it be any different for farm workers?
Yeah, really.
And that just shows you the disparity between what the EPA is doing and what the Department of Labor is doing for every other worker. And we're asking for that attention to be immediate and in parity with standards that protect others.
Yeah, that makes sense. I went to the website, and let's see, it's earthjustice.org/pesticides, correct?
Correct.
And I went there, and is there something on here where I would sign a petition, or how do I use the website?
Absolutely. So once you go there, there's an option that allows you to take action. When you go to take action, it will take you to a page where it outlines all of the points, all of the issues and concerns that we're asking the EPA to address. And just by taking a quick minute and filling out your name, email, and zip code, you'll be sending a message that will be taken into account as the EPA reviews and tries to figure out how to best finalize the most protective standards.
Oh, I got it. Okay, I found it. Take action. Yeah, right on the top.
Now, how does OSHA fit into all of this? Because I know my stepdad worked for a golf course right here in our community. OSHA would send out those huge booklets and update them every month about all the chemicals and things that are used to protect the workers. Are farmers exempt from OSHA?
Yes, they are. So this is what's interesting. Back in the 70s, there was a court decision that said since EPA has the authority to ensure that pesticides are properly used, and then therefore they also have ample authority to make sure that they're setting and enforcing health and safety standards for farm workers. And that was a big mistake. And in doing that, they try to prevent, they said OSHA doesn't need to come in because EPA already has the authority to do so, therefore we'll let EPA handle this. And what has happened since then? Clearly, the EP has not done what they're supposed to do to set adequate protections. And right now, there's this huge disparity between what farm workers get and what a worker in any other industrial sector gets. And that's what we're asking the agency to address, because it's simply an injustice. This is, predominantly minority community, vulnerable workers that, under the Environmental Justice Executive Order, the administration has to make sure that any of their standards, any of their programs are not disproportionately impacting low-income and minority communities. And that's not the case with this standard as it stands.
Well, this is a great message, Andrea. Thank you for bringing it to our attention and giving us a way to help. Your credentials are outstanding, by the way. I was just looking at another one. You won the Miller Coors Leader of the Year Award. And what is that? What does that mean? That what did you do?
So it was a national competition. There was 12 Latino leaders that were nominated and selected, and we all competed against each other for a $25,000 grant that would go to our nonprofit.
Oh, okay. I think you've been with us before. Yeah, when you.
I think I may have.
Yeah, I think that sounded familiar. And silly me for not remembering what that was about. I just like the title, Leader of the Year, LIDER, by the way, or should it LAT? How do you spell leader? The other leader. Well, whatever.
LIDER. Okay. National competition to get funding for a program that would serve to promote the leadership of Latina activists and advocates to learn about their rights and to educate and engage their communities about it.
Mm-hmm. Just to repeat, I mean, we all want to be good stewards of the land. We want to be good stewards of the animals and the plants and all that. Well, we have to be good stewards of each other too. I mean, that's what you're talking about here. Is if we have standards that need to be enforced, and they are being enforced some places and not others, we need to do that. If we need the standards to be improved, we need to do that as well. So. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. The website again is earthjustice.org/pesticides, and you can click on the Take Action little tab there, and it'll take you there. Andrea, thank you for being on the air with us today.
Thank you so much, and to all of the listeners, I hope that you will join us in helping protect children and all the folks that are on the fields that desperately need your voice and support. Thank you.
Well, thank you. You're making the world a better place. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll take a little break. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.